Today's top story from the perspective of someone who's there.
You are looking live.
This just in.
Not my beat.
It is Overreaction Tuesday time with Lynnell Willingham, who joins us. And Lynnell, when we were teasing the segment yesterday, Anthony goes, "Did you hear Lynnell yesterday? He had some crazy takes." So I'm guessing this is about to be a fun one.
I think your producer may have overstated my takes as being crazy, but I was just.
I guess that's my call. That's kind of the point of the segment.
Yeah, I was honest during the post-game show about. I think he's probably talking about I was upset with the effort at the end of the game. So that's kind of one thing that I'm a little thrown off about defensively. But after watching the game back over again, my overreactions are calmed down a little bit. But the problems that I thought do exist.
All right, well, let's get to it. What's your big one? What's your biggest takeaway from the game and your take on it?
We're all concerned about the growth and maturation of Sam Howell. I think we should be equally as concerned about the growth and maturation of Eric Bieniemy as a play caller. I don't think he did a particularly good job putting Sam Howell in the offense in the best position to move the football yesterday. It kind of felt like, based on the success that they had against Denver with the intermediate and deep passing game, it kind of felt like they forced that, not knowing that this Buffalo pass rush was legit. They only had a sack and a half coming into Sunday, and the trio inside really dominated, it felt like, between Ed Oliver and Daquan Jones.
So I would say this is a slight overreaction, especially the way you framed it at the end. I don't think the Buffalo pass rush dominated the Commanders' offensive line in any significant way because Sam Howell, on average, had over 3 seconds to throw in this game. That should be plenty. But it goes to the point of, like, were there too many long developing concepts? Can you get to more quick game? And I think on that point, you are correct. I also think they should have run the ball a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because I think what happened was Buffalo early in this game played a lot of single high, stuff. And they had those run support players in the box or, kind of floating around the box that they were ready for it. And they're like, if you run, like, it's going to be tough sledding. And EB is like, okay, well, then we're not going to run. And I got no problem with that. But Sam's got to get the ball out, and the receivers have to get open. And there's ironically, sometimes it comes down to details. We were recording Take Command this morning. We talked about a play where Jahan's a little late as the third read in the progression to really get in the window for Sam. And it probably comes down to his pre-snap alignment where he's 2 yards outside the numbers and he should be on the numbers. So, like, these little details that ironically Eric Bieniemy is so praised for being on top of. It's one thing to be on top of them in the preseason and in practice and in training camp where we can see him, but he can't do it for him in the game. And eventually, like, these young players, I think, have to be a little bit more on the screws with some of this stuff. So I do think that there is a level of play calling competence with EB that still is growing. And I don't even know if here's the other thing I would say though, Lynnell. I don't even know if it's play calling competence, like, overall as a skill set. I think it's adapting to these players because, like, if you look at the pressure to sack percentage that PFF puts out, the best in the league is Mahomes. The worst in the league is Howell. How you call the game for those two quarterbacks is obviously going to have to be significant based off that stat alone. Nevertheless, anything else.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't know. I agree with what you're saying. That the interesting nugget that you brought up is the amount of time he has to throw. Like, through the first 3 weeks, he's in the middle of the pack in the National Football League. So it's not like
top 10 time to throw 10 overall. Yeah.
So that shows how well the offensive line is performing. And I felt like that was one of our takeaways from the first 2 weeks is that they were way better than we expected. You're right, though. It did feel like Sunday kind of collapsed, but I do think Sam holding the ball and the receivers making mistakes had a big part to do with that as well. Everyone's got to help the quarterback out, I feel like, and they didn't do that Sunday.
No, and the quarterback's got to help himself. Like, Sam's got to learn that things happen in the NFL right now.
Yeah.
Not, let me check. No. Right now. And obviously, like, you don't want him to rush because then he can throw picks. Not that he didn't throw picks on Sunday, but, it becomes a different set of problems. The idea is to not have the problems, but I do think some of his stuff is the slow down, and any way that EB can help him to speed it up is obviously, I think, that's not an overreaction. It's just like, how fair is that to EB to say? I don't know what's fair in sports talk radio. Take Hood anyway.
Right.
All right. What's your next take?
So it's kind of relative to the offensive side of the football. I think a lot of the discussion has been about Washington's offensive identity and who they are. And I think a lot of people want them to go back to being a run-first offense because of the success we saw them have. My overreaction, I guess it's not really an overreaction, is I don't care if they don't have an offensive identity. I think it's all about getting into third and short and allowing you to have manageable third down situations for your quarterback. And I think you can do that running the ball. You can do that with your quick passing game. But I don't think that just because they've had success running the football that they need to be some pound the ball 25 to 30 times a game. I think Eric's got to call what he feels best, obviously, but I don't even think it's about running the football just to run the football. You're running it to have success on first and second down to get you into these third and manageables. And I think that's how you move the football. Not really an overreaction, kind of just like a philosophical thought I have with the offense, and it's just based on the dialogue you see on Twitter. Everyone wants them to run the football and be this 1980s. We don't care if you know it's gap, we're running it right at you. Like, that's not how football works today. And quite frankly, we don't have the offensive line to just go out and maul people like that. If you see, they kind of struggle blocking the run at times against these 8-man boxes on Sunday. So we'll see.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's an overreaction at all. Running is math. That's, I'm stealing that directly from Logan this morning, but it's not an original thought. It's just fresh in my mind, phrased that way because I just got done talking to Paulson however many hours ago that was.
I like that.
But like,
running is math. Yeah.
Running is math. Do we have more blockers, or at least enough blockers for the amount of dudes they have in the space that we want to run into? Like, if we got 6 blockers and they got an 8-man box, that's not good math. You should pass that ball. But at the same time, I think later in the game, they had loosened up Buffalo a little bit. They started to play, and part of this was the score, right? They start to play some 2-man or some too high safety looks, which takes a player out of the box. Now all of a sudden you got a 6-man structure that you're running into with 6 or 7 blockers. They've got to be able to run the ball there. And that's where I think like the run the ball crowd is correct. Running it to run into a cement wall is stupid.
Yeah.
But you need to be able to run the ball when the opportunity arises because it's fairly low risk. And especially when your offensive line is getting, it's not having the best day, even if it's not as bad as a lot of people thought. Your quarterback is certainly making their jobs harder. And the decision-making for your quarterback doesn't seem to be at its sharpest. He's having trouble seeing it. He's a little late. He's not in a rhythm, in a groove. Like, sometimes just handing the ball off is a great thing for the rhythm of the quarterback. Like, I think that's like almost an underrated thing where, like, actually the thing I hated the most from the post game and aftermath was Rivera yesterday talking about like, yeah, we're part of the reason we're passing the ball so much is because we want to put Sam in these situations. And it's like, the situation should be, hey man, if you got a 6-man box and you have an option to hand the ball off, hand the bleeping ball off. Like, I don't care if you're Tom Brady or Peyton Manning or Aaron Rodgers or Patrick Mahomes in your prime. Running the ball into a 6-man structure is like the easiest thing you'll ever do as a quarterback. So do that, because the passing numbers, that means like the inverse, right? You don't pass into 7 and 8-man structures. Yeah. So don't.
And something, it kind of just going back to Ron for a second and his media availability yesterday, I kind of knew it was going to be fireworks just because of the style of loss that it was. But some of the things that he said yesterday I don't jive with, and it doesn't make sense in terms of where the overall organization is right now. And I've maintained this back to the offseason with the play the best quarterback thing. I don't think this year should be about developing Sam Howell. I think it should be about trying to win football games. And I think they're going to reach a point, or if they reach a point where they feel like Sam doesn't give them the best chance to win anymore, then they should move on and go to Jacoby. But I'm not saying we're at that point yet. But I'm saying I don't think his youth and his development should be a part of your thought process. There's 52 other guys on this roster that want to win football games, that are getting older in their career and that want to compete. Terry McLaurin's been here for 5-6 seasons and hasn't had any type of postseason success and has only reached the postseason once. So, like, that's important to them, and they need to capitalize on those opportunities, because if they feel like the quarterback's holding the rest of the offense and the rest of the team back, you got to do something.
That is, to me, is only a slight overreaction out of you. Like, I thought very close to the same thing. Like, is there a level of, we're going to just have to live with some of Sam's mistakes because we need to figure out if he's the guy? Because if he is, that changes the fortune of our franchise moving forward, because all of a sudden we can do things that we didn't think we could do financially because we got a 5th-round rookie contract for a couple more years at the quarterback position. Absolutely. Like, that is a risk reward ratio that is worth investing in to an extent. but
Yeah.
you can't sell out. And like the way you play the game can't just be a science experiment. Like to me, that's where the overreaction, I guess, by Ron is. Like you can't just science experiment the freaking play calls because you want to see if Sam can do it. Like when you get to Sunday, win the game. Like you got it. And I don't, the funny thing is I actually don't believe Ron. Like I don't believe what he's saying. And that's why like I had to stop myself from like going full, I don't know. Maybe I should have just gone full rant and seeing if I could have gone viral. But I can't. I have dignity, Lynnell. Whatever. It's not very small amount, but I have some dignity. I can't just hot take knowing that it sounds good and people will get fired up. I just can't.
And
I save the anger for when it's really warranted, because I don't believe that that's actually what they're doing. I think the way Sam Fortier asked that question, like put an idea in Ron's head that he didn't want to shoot down because he thought it sounded good in the moment. And it's actually a bunch of BS. So I try not to read too much into it, but I do think they can do a better job, like to kind of bring it all together. I do feel like they can do a better job of setting Sam up for success. And that's an ongoing process between he, EB, Ron, Tavita, the rest of the offensive staff. And by the way, the players executing better around him to help support Sam the best they can. But obviously Sam's got to be better too. By the way, they're 2-1, and largely he's been very good through 4 starts. He had one really bad clunker, which happens because he's 4 starts into his career.
Right. I just wonder if, Buffalo kind of put the book out on him, and if teams moving forward try to come with a similar game plan and disguise pressures and things like anything you do to mess up any young quarterback. So
right.
I guess the blueprint kind of was already out. So
yeah, I mean, Sean McDermott's done this. He's 8-0 against quarterbacks with it. It was, I think, their first 8 starts, their first 5 career starts. Belichick always, like, that game's going to be hard. Belichick destroys rookie quarterbacks historically. There's going to be challenges, but like if this exact blueprint works, well, then you have your answer. Like he's not the answer at quarterback. So there's the conclusion of your science experiment. But hopefully he'll be able to solve this problem, and then he'll be challenged by new ones, and we'll repeat the process again. That's Lynnell Willingham. I'm Craig Hoffman. Lynnell joins us each and every Tuesday for Overreaction Tuesday here on the Hoffman Show on the Team 980, also streaming live not only on the free Odyssey app but on YouTube at the Team 980. All right, Lynnell, next take, and then we determine whether or not it's an overreaction.
Yeah, big general thought just from the first 3 games of the season. And I was debating whether or not I was going to give you this or not, because I know everyone's going to see this. If the defense does not start turning people over, it's going to stop them from making the postseason. They had a lot of missed opportunities in terms of dropping interceptions and missing sacks. It was overall a bigger theme that I had that I wanted to narrow down on one player, but I don't want to make it an individual thing. I'm a big fan of this player, but all offseason
Cam Curl's got to finish it.
Cam Curl's got to finish on multiple times Sunday, and especially if he wants to be. I used the line on Sunday, and I was angry and frustrated when I used it, but like Milk and Honey Sports isn't gonna like Cam Curl missing a sack on Josh Allen. Milk and Honey's not gonna like Cam Curl having a rocket go through his hands that turns into a 25-yard completion. Like everyone talks about his importance to this defense. I get that the role itself is specific, but no knock on Cam. He's got to make more plays. The type of safety that he wants to be paid as is like a top 5 guy in the league. We just haven't gotten that type of production out of him this year to this point, whether it's missed tackles, whether it's not making plays on the football, whether it's not corralling the quarterback and bringing a guy down. There's a couple of times he had pressure opportunities on Sunday, and he's just a tick late. And, like, I get it. Like, close only counts like horseshoes, right? Isn't that like the saying?
Yeah, it's got horseshoes and hand grenades.
Horseshoes and hand grenades. This is neither of the two. So I think Cam's got to make those plays. And something else that I saw on Sunday in the secondary that was interesting to me, and I wanted to get your thought. They're getting caught trying to disguise stuff. And it's like they talk. The reason I got that from Benjamin St. Juste is mic'd up against the Denver Broncos. Coach Vesselmeyer constantly praising them about, disguise more, disguise more, disguise more. On the play that Gabe Davis got, the rifle from Josh Allen, it kind of felt like, are they trying to disguise their coverage there? Because there's no way he's getting over there that late. And it makes me think, well, I think Percy Butler has tremendous range on the back, and maybe he needs to be the guy that they're disguising and using in coverage with that, because he's got more range and more makeup speed to allow him to disguise better. Because I think Derek Ford is kind of struggling in that area.
Yeah, I think that part's an overreaction. We talked about that play on the pod, and the short version is that's good offense. Like if you are an offensive coordinator and you draw up that play, that's the coverage you're looking for. And that's just a loss based off play call. And that happens in the NFL. And by the way, it's made way worse by the fact that Josh Allen's the dude throwing it, because if another quarterback is putting a little more arc under that ball, maybe Derek Forrest is able to at least challenge it. Josh Allen throws a frozen rope 35 yards. I mean,
frozen rope. I got to write that down.
Yeah, it's like 50 yards in the air, by the time you get the horizontal across the field yardage. But like whatever the air yards are on that one, like that ball should not be there that fast. That's a Josh Allen special. There's nothing you can do about that. That's good football from the Bills. I don't really like on that particular play, disguise, no disguise. Like that's tough sledding if you're Derek Forrest. Overall, I'll have to, we'll put a pin in the disguise thing. I'll ask Logan about what he thinks on that. But I think overall, the defense played well enough to win. Like they played well enough to win that game and got zero support for the offense. And at the moment where they make a play, like it doesn't count as a turnover, but like they turn the Bills over on downs. Deron Payne makes a play, gets his hand up. He's skipping off the field. There's like a feel like, oh, this is the moment. And on the next play, Gibson fumbles. And you just felt the air come out of the stadium. You knew Buffalo was going to score a touchdown. Sure enough, they do. And I think the defense is playing well enough with their current turnover production not to, like, I think that's an overreaction to say it keeps them out of the playoffs. I think your Cam Curl point is not an overreaction. If you want to, like you can be in position, but a top 5 safety, if that's what you want to get paid by, has got to finish plays. And obviously, if he does, like that also changes the game. And I'm not saying the chances of the postseason will be hurt by more turnovers or more interceptions, obviously. But I think he has had, I think he had a rough one on Sunday. And it's tough because it's a rough one where he's in positions to make plays, and you can't make the play if you're not in the position. But he's in positions to make plays and ultimately doesn't finish. So that's a real double-edged sword there for Cam Curl. All right, we do this every Tuesday. We get the takes from Lynnell. We determine if they're overreactions. I kind of think this is psychologically even changing your takes, Lynnell. I feel like you have not been spitting the fire that, at least in this segment. Are you getting it out on Sundays with Doc? Like, is he beating it out of you? Are you getting to yell at the rooster enough during the week that by the time we get here, you're having reasonable takes, or is it just the pressure of the Hoffman show and we try to be reasonable? It's the pressure
of the YouTube and the Hoffman show. It's all wacky and wonky. But no, I'm trying to be measured, but it's 3 games in, so it's hard for me to give definitive takes for the entire season and not make myself look like an idiot. So I'm trying to save face here a little bit too.
Speaking of you looking like an idiot, when are you jumping through a table?
Oh my God, I knew it was coming.
Well, when are you jumping through a table? And then we got to talk basketball real quick.
I'm going to jump through a table Wednesday afternoon on the Chris Russell show at some point.
Okay, please tell me the time so that I can show up with a camera. And then 2, Lynnell played in the Wizards host a nice little event. Yeah. There was a pickup basketball game with a bunch of media members and some assistant coaches. I thought you showed better, certainly, than you did against Anthony. Now, you couldn't have shown any worse, but I thought you showed all right.
I was 0 for 5. 0 for 6 from the field. I got my shot blocked twice by my man Anto from All Pro Reels. It was a rough outing for me.
I must have left before it got real ugly for you.
Yeah, I had to sub myself out a couple times. Second night of a back-to-back. I actually had – no, I didn't. I was just fat and lazy and out of shape. It was actually pretty embarrassing. I'm the youngest dude out there, Craig. So, I thought initially there's this expectation that I'm just going to be boom, 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 boom. But clearly they don't know the youngest in charge is the youngest in large at the moment. So –
yeah, I may have said to Wes Unseld as I was standing on the top step watching you guys play before I had to leave for the show, which is why I didn't play. I was like, this is going better than Lynnell than I thought it would based off his last performance. And so I've got to find a way to get the video of you and Anthony in front of Wes Unseld because he was laughing in my retelling of it. So sorry about that. Set you up with Wes there and not the best.
Cool moment during it all. Will Dawkins, how rare do you get to say you hoop with the assistant general manager of the Wizards?
The general manager of the Wizards.
Excuse me. Yeah, I'm sorry. I forgot the Wiz Vengers hierarchy.
Yeah.
Will Dawkins passes me the ball in a dead spot on the court, and it was a dead spot on the court, and he agreed with me, and it was great. It let me know that maybe I do know a little bit of what I'm talking about. But my main takeaway was, whenever you guys hear me yelling about you on the radio this year, just point back to this game and tell me that I can't do any better. So,
yeah, well, that's not I also was talking to Wes. I hope Wes is a better GM than or Will is a better GM than he is a player. So
oh no, Will was pretty good.
Will was pretty good, but I was like, there's a couple stretches in there that I was like, that's not the effort you're looking for out of your guys this year.
Yeah.
And Wes was
He
dying.
surprised me. I'm not gonna lie. He's surprised.
No, Will could play a little bit. That was fun. I hope I get a chance to play with him at some point. I don't know when that would happen, but I hope it happens. All right. Wizards Media Day, by the way, Monday. So I'll be looking forward to some of the Wiz content coming up here on the Hoffman Show. Lynnell every Tuesday for Overreaction Tuesday. He'll be in with the Rooster later this week. Thank you, sir.
I got to bring it harder next week, man. Don't worry. The takes will be coming out hot and flying based off the game at the Link this Sunday.
I'll wear my protective gear.
This is the Hoffman Show on the T980 and the Odyssey app.